Welcome to The Hypnotist, the show that gives you inside access to cutting-edge hypnosis with real clients facing genuine issues. Brought to you by the hypnotherapist demanded by celebrities, CEOs, and even royalty, Adam Cox. These recordings took place live from Adam's clinic in London's world-famous Harley Street. This podcast features powerful hypnosis, so do not listen while driving or operating machinery. This recording is not suitable for those with epilepsy or severe mental health issues. So, get yourself comfortable and enjoy today's episode of The Hypnotist.
Hi, it's Adam here, and in today's episode of The Hypnotist, you'll be listening to a hypnosis session for someone that was addicted to cocaine. And what I did before I actually did the hypnosis part of the session was to ask him what he valued more. And one of the belief systems, one of the false belief systems that a lot of people that believe they're addicted have is that they need the thing, whatever the thing is. In his case, it was cocaine, but in other people's, it might be cigarettes, it might be alcohol, it might be sugar, for example. But there is a belief that they need the thing. When you present whatever the substance is, whatever the thing is that they're addicted to as a choice, then what you find is that not only is it not necessary, but in many cases, it's not desirable. So, for example, I was working with this client and said, if you lost 1% of your IQ every time you took cocaine, how appealing is it then? Or what would you choose, intelligence or cocaine? And it was intelligence. And let's say every time he took cocaine, a year was deducted from his life. Would he choose life or would he choose cocaine? And going through that list, what was evident is that he valued a lot of other things higher than cocaine. Another example was if a tiny bit of his body was, let's say, went missing every time he used, so maybe he loses a toe or a little finger or an earlobe each and every time he used, how desirable would he use it? What would he choose? Keeping the body parts or using the substance? So what we've identified is that he would choose his body over cocaine. He would choose his relationship over over cocaine. He would choose potentially being a father over cocaine. And there were so many things more important. In this hypnosis session, that information that I elicited then gets factored into something known as the Dicken pattern. And the Dicken pattern was popularized by a personal development speaker known as Tony Robbins. And it's based on on the book A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens. That's where the Dickens pattern comes from. Because Scrooge in A Christmas Carol visits a future that is so unbearable to him that he sees the consequences of his actions, that when he returns to the present, he then has this new lease of life, this new desire to be the person that he was in the past. So if you think about A Christmas Carol, the ghost of the Christmas past takes him to the past, and you could see that, Scrooge was, a nice person that valued friendship and relationship, and then something changed and he valued money above everything else. And then he sees his death and the consequences of that legacy, and he gets to go back to the present and then step into a new identity. So what you're going to hear in this hypnosis session is this client stepping into a future where he is prioritizing cocaine over everything else and where that takes his life. And then stepping into an alternative reality where by rejecting this substance, he can step into a new identity. Now, for any NLPers listening to this, you might be familiar with Dilt's logical levels. And one of the key things to a change is to make a change at the identity level rather than the behavior level. So quite often, addicts will describe themselves at the identity level. What you hear in this particular session is me using the identity level in an undesirable way. So using the phrase junkie or cokehead, which I know from speaking to this person before that they reject that identity. So by rejecting that identity, they're also rejecting the substance that is linked to that identity. And that's all linked into the Dickens pattern. So If you're listening to this, you'll be very aware that it was created for someone else and their unique circumstances and their unique values. But it will still be useful to experience what it would be like to spend 20 years living a life committed to a choice that no longer serves you. And what happens to a lot of people is it brings them to the point of threshold where the should becomes a must, where the straw has broken the camel's back and they will do anything to avoid that horrible future. And there's enough references that people have in real life. If you see a smoker that's been smoking for 50 years and you ask them and you say, if you could go back to when you were, let's say 13, 14, 15 years old and you took that very first cigarette, what would you tell yourself? And inevitably, they have had a lifetime of experiencing the damage. Smoking typically ages people and it comes with health conditions, not in the short term, but in the long term. And in many cases, they would say, I would absolutely fight to convince that version of myself never to start. And that's effectively the same rationale for the Dickens pattern that you're about to listen in this particular session. If this isn't quite the right fit for you, there will be a link nearby where you can book a free 30-minute consultation call with me to explore what it would be like to work with me. But in the meantime, try this hypnosis session on for size because it might just do the trick. So find a quiet place where you won't be disturbed, relax, and enjoy the session. Take a deep breath in. And as you breathe in a resourceful feeling of relaxation. And as you exhale, allow your eyelids to close. And as they close, notice that you can give more of your focused attention to the sound of my voice. As you breathe in and breathe out, just notice that as you exhale, that outward breath becomes longer and longer. As you breathe in, the breath fills the lungs in your chest and goes down into your diaphragm. The deeper you breathe, the more relaxed you feel, and the more that it feels the tension, stress, anxiety is leaving your body in your outward breath. Breathing in that resourceful feeling of relaxation, exhaling tension. And I want you to think of a place that represents relaxation for you. Could be somewhere real. It could just exist in your imagination. I want you to think of that place and imagine what it would be like to be in that place. And notice that when you're in that place, the emotions change. You find it easier to breathe in and breathe out. Tension in your neck and your shoulders starts to melt away. I want you to get a feeling that as you become deeper and deeper relaxed, your body feels limper, looser. That you're giving permission to yourself to let go. Let go of that tension. Let go of those worries. Let go of any feelings of overwhelm and stress and just breathe. Breathe in and breathe out and just notice how relaxed you can feel. There in that place within your imagination, notice what you see. What you hear, and any feelings that you can feel in this point, not emotions, but sensations, a breeze on your skin, the feeling of the clothes touching your body, the temperature. I want you to get a sense that the more you focus on those things, the more you feel that you are in a safe, relaxing place. As you breathe in and breathe out, I want you to use the power of your imagination to imagine a time where you felt a need to use cocaine. Just within your imagination, your body is still there, but your imagination is taking you to a different place. Maybe it was a long day of work. Maybe there's someone that you knew and you were reconnecting. I want you to recall a time before you used any cocaine but felt the desire to have it. I want you to feel like you're back in that body, in that moment, where in that moment in time you would do anything to have it. And if I'm communicating to that part that wants it, that feels like it needs it, let me know by nodding your head. I want you to notice that in your inner dialogue, there's things you're telling yourself as to why you need it. Phrases, words, justifications. It helps in this way, it helps in that way. I need it because. And I want you to get a sense that these justifications are an intelligent person using a rationale to justify an unintelligent behavior. But let's investigate if this behavior is intelligent or not. I want you to imagine that we're going to go forwards in time. A time where all of these reasons lead to regular and frequent use of cocaine. Hold on to those thoughts, that rationale, those reasons, as you imagine what it would be like 2 years in the future. 2 years of using this rationale, these reasons to justify this behavior. I want you to get a sense that it's doing certain things for you. Maybe it is helping you to deal with the overwhelm and stress of a day. Maybe it's helping you to reconnect with people you don't see often. And maybe there are moments that by using around certain people, you become part of a club, a group that you wouldn't normally have access to. And maybe that leads to certain good things that are happening, which is great for you, because isn't that just the perfect justification to continue exactly doing what you're doing? Sometimes you think back to those bad moments and bad consequences that have already happened, and yet the desire is still there. Because at its core, you're doing this because you enjoy it. And if that's the real truth, just let me know by nodding your head. Everything else is just the bullshit you tell yourself to keep justifying doing it. And 2 years of doing this, I want you to get a sense of what impact that's had on the level of self-respect you have for yourself. What's it done as a direct consequence to the relationship with the person in your life that you value the most other than yourself? 2 years of continuing to use bullshit reasons to continue consuming coke. What's that done to your health, to your body? Perhaps you can imagine a full-length mirror and you can see the consequences. How much older do you look? Is there any noticeable damage on your speed of aging? Is there any more damage to certain parts of your nose, for example? consider 2 more years, what's it done to your finances? Has it impacted your ability to be a father? And if you are a father at that point, is this the role model you want to set for your child? 2 more years of consuming, what's it done to your cognitive capacity, your ability to make good decisions, to think clearly? What's it done to your productivity, your impact on your work, your business? But let's double down. Let's go forward 8 years in the future. Another 8 years in addition to those 2 years, so 10 years of continuing to consume and use cocaine in the way that you have been using it in the past. And I wonder if 10 years of use, your body needs more of it to get the same feelings. I want you to think 10 years in the future. How old are you going to be? Look in the mirror and see yourself 10 years in the future. What's that done to the respect you have for yourself? Knowing that for 10 years, you've been following bullshit reasons to make a choice that you know is risking the things that you value the most. 10 years, what's that done to the relationship that you're in? How many relationships have failed as a direct consequence of this behavior? And if you're in the same relationship, is there trust and respect and love that's been compromised by this use? What's it done to your health and to your body? 10 more years of consuming this substance. Maybe there's been some scares. Or maybe there's been some more serious consequences. Look for clues in that mirror as you see yourself as to what might be taking its toll below the surface. That might not be noticeable to the outside world, but you would know because it's your body. Maybe you are a dad at this point in time, but you've still been using cocaine all this time throughout that formative years. Maybe your child has seen you, or seen you under the influence, or seen what you're willing to do to prioritize this drug over their life. Has it damaged that relationship with that child? Has it damaged the relationship with your partner through how you've been around that child? What's it done to your ability to think clearly? Or at this point, are you just a cokehead, a slave to a drug that you don't even need, a prisoner of a substance that you could easily escape had you made a decision earlier? What's it done to your income? How much of your valuable time have you pissed away? If you're getting a sense that this might not be the best course of action, the best identity to hold on to, just let me know by nodding your head. But we won't change. We're going to have another 10 more years of this. I want you to think, 10 more years, how old will you be? How much money do you think you would have spent on this substance? What's it done to your body? In 20 years' time, if you had a child, maybe they're a teenager at this point, and they know you're a cokehead. Everyone does. What does that do to their relationship with you, their respect for you? Or maybe The respect is there, and therefore they've started this behavior themselves. Maybe they found some that you thought you had hidden away or flushed away, but maybe their first experience was just 10, 11, 12 years old. And those neural pathways that connect dopamine with a substance has already taken root in their head. What's it done to your relationship? As you start to entertain the idea as the consequences of this behavior, the very part that craves this substance the most is starting to wonder, is this a gift? Is this something I need? Or is this the shackles of slavery? Is this the chains that are holding you back from living a life that you could have? Is this substance the chasm that separates the life you have from the life you could have? And perhaps if choosing not to have this is the bridge that closes that chasm, a different life is possible for you. What's it done to your income, your career, your reputation in the industry? 20 years of doing this, it's no secret. Everyone knows you're a junkie. Everyone knows you're a cokehead. Everyone knows you're a slave to this drug, and nothing will ever change that. And if there's a part, the very part that chooses this substance, realizes that it doesn't have to be this way. That freedom is a possibility. But freedom has a price. And if it's reached that point where you're willing to pay that price to have the freedom, that enough is enough, let me know by nodding your head. As you close your eyes, imagine going back in time to the very present. That future doesn't have to be that way. That the alternative to slavery is freedom. And there is a simple way that you buy your freedom. By stepping into the identity of the version of you that no matter what the circumstances would be, you are not willing to choose slavery. How likely is it that the real slaves of the world, once they've had their freedom, would voluntarily choose slavery again? I want you to entertain a future, 5 years from now, 5 years of being free of this drug. I want you to think of the conversations that you would have needed to have with the people that know you the best. Imagine them trying to convince you, saying just one night, you'll be fine, you can handle this, and get a sense that it feels so good to turn that down, to say no to that, to feel that you are in control. Maybe you've missed out on some moments, but you're good with that. I want you to feel what it's done for the relationship you have with yourself. How much more pride you have. How much more self-respect you have for yourself. What it's done for your confidence to not need a substance to be who you are. What's it done to your relationship? What's it done to the quality of your life? Not the gratification of your life, but the quality of your life. How has your health improved 5 years? What other changes have you made? Generally, when one positive change takes place, a cascading effect takes place where other healthy choices also take place. How much better do you feel 5 years of being free of this drug? Maybe you're a father at that point. And at the point where you knew you would be a father, it just solidified that absolute resolve that no matter what happened, you would never touch this substance? What's it done to your mental clarity? What's it done for your work, your career, your business? And then jump forward 15 years in the future and really get a sense that at that age, you're so grateful that you made the choice when you did, because maybe you know other people your same age that didn't make that choice, and you know what happened to them. A life of slavery. They had to keep working just to keep buying this substance. They were a slave to it. They were trapped to it. I want you to entertain the idea that many human traffickers, sex slave, get addicted to substances so they can be controlled, they can be manipulated. And I want you to get a sense of how grateful you feel that you have freed yourself from slavery 20 years previously. All the bullshit that you told yourself, you found out it was bullshit when you realized you could live without it. And the biggest delusion of all was that you needed this thing to begin with. And if you truly realize that you don't need this anymore, and not only do you not need it, but you don't want it, and you don't even like it because you realize all of the damage it was causing. If you're ready to be free from it, let me know by nodding your head. And then go back in time, return to the present. Step into a new identity that you don't need this, that you're free from this, and that you're ready to do whatever it takes to turn a vision of an identity into a reality of an identity. Knowing that there is a period of time, a ripple effect of a decision to test your resolve. And maybe that's a few days, or maybe a few weeks. This is the price of admission for freedom. And if you're willing to go through the discomfort, go through pain, go through a test of your resolve, if you know it's going to buy you a ticket to freedom, let me know by nodding your head. Think about what the next few days and weeks feel like, and know that you are unlocking all of the resources to become the version of you that you want to be. I want you to return fully to the present in this moment, right now. Take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your nose. Just wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes. Get a sense that you're in your own physical body right now as I count from 1 to 10 to awaken you. When you awaken, you'll be willing and ready and able to make that decision, and willing, wanting to pay the price of admission for your freedom. Starting to count to awaken you. 1, 2, 3, waking up. 4, 5, 6, more alert. 7, 8, open your eyes, open your eyes. 9, 10, wide awake, wide awake, wide awake.
Thank you for listening to The Hypnotist with Adam Cox, the show that gives you inside access to cutting-edge hypnosis with real clients facing genuine issues. To automatically receive the latest episodes, please subscribe. If you'd like to support the show, please share this episode with just one friend you think it could help. And if this episode helped you, please leave us a 5-star review.